Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here, and I'm super excited to be taking part in a blog hop to celebrate Honeybee Stamp's second birthday celebration. For today's card, I'm going to be using some new stamps from their newest release. I'm going to be using the Stick With Me stamp set, which is this one here, and it has a ton of succulent images. I was so excited when I saw this stamp set, and I knew right away that I wanted to create an art print with it. So I have a picture frame that I had purchased from IKEA that has this great mat on the inside, and I decided that I wanted to have a grouping of succulents stamped in the center inside that mat, and then I wanted to watercolor them. So what I did is I took a piece of computer paper and I just kind of figured out exactly where I wanted to stamp everything. So I framed that mat so I knew exactly how big the area was I was working with. And then I kind of used the dies and traced around them with pencil and figured out the spacing and everything of where I wanted stuff. So that's kind of my guide as I'm going to work here and create this art print. So now that I have the draft kind of sketched out and I know what I want to do, I took a piece of watercolor paper and I'm just taking my T-square ruler and a pencil and I'm just kind of adding lines all through this piece here so I have that grid pattern that I have on the piece of paper there. All of the sketching and kind of the lines and figuring out exactly how I wanted to position everything does take a little bit of time, but I definitely think it's worth it because at the end I was able to just kind of work with my panel. I had my watercolor piece ready to go. All of the lines were there and I could simply just stamp all of the succulent images without having to kind of figure things out as I went. And I think at the end it kind of made it go quicker by having the template kind of drawn up to work on. So once I finished and had all my lines drawn, I can go ahead and start to do the stamping. So it is kind of hard to see on screen, but I do have all of the lines drawn and I have 9 areas that I know I want to stamp the succulent images in. And because I did do kind of a sketch here and I used the dies and the stamps to figure out what I wanted to use, I kind of have an idea already of what pots and what succulent top pieces that I'm going to be using in each of the areas. So I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a fantastic ink for any type of watercoloring, and it's a really nice, crisp, dark ink. So I really wanted these lines on the stamps to be really bold and really black, so this was a great ink to use because they really stand out on the watercolor paper. So what I did is I always started with the pot, and I stamped it right on the line at the bottom. And then I always added this little piece of Post-it tape to the top area of the pot before I stamped the succulent. Just in case I stamped a little bit too low, I didn't want to have any of the succulent part stamping into the pot and kind of wreck it. That was probably the biggest worry as I was working on this piece, was that I was going to get to like succulent number 9 and then completely mess it up. So I really took my time. I, positioned everything exactly where I wanted it. And by taking my time and having everything pre-drawn out, it really helped to make sure that I didn't have any mistakes and have to completely redo the image over again. I love kind of seeing how it all comes together as I continue to stamp. The more I stamped onto the panel, the more excited I got for what the end result was going to look like. I knew I was going to really like the overall design just because I really love art prints like this, but I didn't realize how much I would really love it until I had it finished and it was completely stamped. And once I had all of the stamping done, I was pretty happy with it just like that. I would have been completely content to leave it black and white, but I did want to add color, so I am going to watercolor it. I made sure all of the ink was completely dry, and then I took an eraser and erased all of the pencil lines that I had on the panel before I started to do any of the painting. I wanted to make sure I had all the pencil lines removed so that I didn't kind of trap any of the pencil lines under the paint that I'm going to be adding. So now is the fun part. Now it's kind of time to add all of the coloring to the different succulents. So I'm using my Sakura Koi Field Sketchbox watercolor set. This has a set of 30 different watercolors, and it's a really great set. I love it. It's very compact and it has a lot of great colors in it, and it worked really well for the coloring of these images. So I was really happy with the final result. So I'm just going to throw some music on here because I did leave all of the painting in, so it did take a little bit to do all of the painting. But I kept the color scheme pretty consistent. I used 3 main colors on the pots, and then I used various colors on the succulent pieces, but I kept it pretty consistent and didn't really change it up too much. I really wanted everything to look uniform and look like it was supposed to go together. So like I mentioned, I'm going to throw music on. You can sit back and watch the coloring if you prefer, or you can jump ahead to the end of the video to see the finished piece when I have all of the painting done. So I'm just finishing up the coloring here, so you can see I'm adding some additional paint to the different pots and some of the succulents, just to add a little bit of dimension and shading to some of those areas. And then once I have that done, this fun little art print is completely finished. So I had so much fun creating this. I love the final result. I'm excited to hang this in my house or maybe give it away. I'm not really sure. But it was definitely a fun project to make, and I would definitely do it again. So happy birthday to Honeybee Stamps. I'm glad you were here to share in the celebration. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.